Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with my what I read in September for my mini album. I'm trying to catch up. I was 3 months behind. So yesterday I did August, today I did September, and I'll probably do October this afternoon. Now it was a little faster this time. I saved about 15 minutes, and that's because when I did the September one, I had done my little cups with the number for the books for the 3 months. So I saved a bit of time this time around because I didn't have to do that. So right away, I had my pictures printed and I had a few questions about where do I print these pictures. Well, I'm part of the Goodreads group, goodreads.com. It's a great place to find out about new books, and it's also a great place to keep track of the books that you're reading. And then you can mark them as read. You can rate them. It's awesome. I have the link to my Goodreads down in the description box below if you want to follow me. And so I click on the book and I click on the picture and it pops, pretty big. And then I just take a picture with my camera. You know how you can take a picture of your screen. And then with an iPhone, you can then edit the photo so that you can size it down to just fit the photo. Then when I'm ready to print, I go in my pick frame app. I take the one that has a double photo, and then the ratio at the very beginning when you get into pick frame, I pick 4:3, and then with a border so that it's the perfect size to fit on a 3x4 card. So I hope that answers some of the questions that you had about, how I get my pictures and all that. Then the next thing I do is I grab a Project Life kit, and every time I do this, I just grab a different Project Life kit, and I just use one per month, and then that way I'm not going through a whole bunch of cards because I'm trying to make it so that is as streamlined as possible. I want to make sure that it doesn't take me hours to get this done. I like to spend about an hour each month, making a little mini album of all the books that I read. Then I kind of look at the picture and say which color would look good with this picture, and then I find the card that has the picture. I just make sure that it has color and you can see all the way around. The right side, I just make sure that there's a spot for journaling because I want to journal about each book. I put minimal embellishments on it because the whole purpose is just to keep track of the books I read. So in the month of September, I read 9 books. The first one was the second book in the Percy Jackson series, and it is about Percy Jackson, and just finds out he's a demigod and all their adventures. It's a middle grade series, but I absolutely love it. I'm enjoying the series. If you have kids that are in the middle grade age, but even a little older, or even a little younger, Mason really is enjoying these books too. So the second book I read this month is Ghost of the Shadow Market by Cassandra Clare. This is a bunch of short stories in the Shadow Hunter world, and it's mainly following Jem and also Kit. And you should read this before the Queen of Air and Darkness, the last book in the Dark Artifices series. But you know what? I read that first because this wasn't out, and I still really enjoy it. I love those books. I know a lot of people are kind of about them, but I love them, and I gave it 5 stars. I just love everything about it. This next book, it's called The Stolen Kingdom by Bethany Azara, and she's a self-published author. She's also a YouTuber, so just Google her, Bethany Azara, and she sells her books on Amazon. You can get them on ebooks or the printed version. I bought the ebook, but I'm going to get the printed version because I absolutely love this book. It was a 5-star. It is a retelling of Aladdin. And there's going to be 4 books in the series. They're all going to be released pretty quickly. The second one is called The Ginny Key, and it is a Little Mermaid retelling, and that's coming out on December 3rd, and I already have it pre-ordered. And I just like the twist that she did for that Aladdin retelling. Absolutely loved it. Check her out. She's a self-published author, so an indie author, I guess. And she's super sweet. I love her YouTube channel. She's so genuine and just real. And I love her writing. She's an amazing author. Now, the next book I read is called Last Summer by Carrie Lee Lonsdale. I've read quite a few of her books. This one is sort of an adult contemporary with a bit of mystery. She wakes up in the hospital and she's just recovering from a car accident. She remembers everything about her life except the fact that she was pregnant and that she lost the baby. So this is her journey trying to figure out, what happened. Why is it that that's the only thing that she doesn't remember? I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Super good book. Actually, all her books, I think this might be my 4th book I've read from her. I think I've read all the books that she's written. I tend to be like that. If I like an author, I binge read everything that they write. As soon as they come out with a new book, I read it. And this one also I read on ebook. But I don't think I'll get the physical copy. The reason I want The Lost Kingdom, the physical copy for that one, is because it's a series and it's going to be a 4-book series. And I just want all the books on my shelves because it was a 5-star read for me. The next book I read is Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. Now, this was a fun book to read. It is the perfect book to read sort of in the fall season. I mean, I read this sort of at the end of September, so fallish would be a great book to read in October, but my October was already filled up, so I read it in September. This is about a girl's best friend that dies, and they rule it as a suicide, and she's like, there's no way she would have committed suicide. So she brings her back from the dead, but oops, she ends up bringing a couple more people. Such a good book. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. Young adult, kind of thriller, magical. Really enjoyed it. The next book I read, the books are out of order here, so I'm making sure that I put them in the order that I read them, is called Royals by Rachel Hawkins. This is a young adult contemporary, and this is about a girl and that her sister is marrying into royalty and what it means to the rest of the family. It doesn't just change the life of her sister, it also changes her life. And she ends up spending the summer there with her sister where the royal family lives, and just all the shenanigans that happens. I really enjoyed it. There's a second book. This is the start of a series. This is the first book. I read the first book and I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read the second book. It's on my Amazon wish list, and as soon as it goes on sale, I will definitely be buying that book. The next book I read probably was my favorite of the month. It's called Well Met by Jen Deluca, and this is an adult contemporary, but it's based around a fair. And I have never been to a fair, but I can tell you, I now want to go to a fair. It is on my bucket list, and it is a hate to love story. I gave it 5-star. Absolutely loved it. I'm going to check out to see what else Jen Deluca. I think this was a premiere, actually. Like, this was her first book. But I'm going to be reading everything that she writes. I love the way she wrote the story. I love the story, the story itself. Just everything about it. So 5 stars. The next book I read was We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchison. And this is a young adult contemporary, and it's about a young boy who says that he's being abducted by aliens, and they're telling him that he needs to decide whether the earth is going to end. He needs to push a button by a certain date, and if he doesn't, then the earth will implode or explode, and that's going to be the end of that. And it's about his internal growth, I guess, and just him growing up and the struggles that he has. Really liked it, gave it 4 stars. The last book I read this month is the next book in the Percy Jackson series, which, as I told you at the beginning, I'm really enjoying this series. Like, even this month, I read 2 books out of the series. I'm typically like that. When I start a series, I can't go months and months without reading the next. I got to read the series at least once a month. I read one of the books, or I read them back to back to back. Sometimes, maybe a few books in between, but I try to read them all. This book also, this one was called The Sea of Monsters. Yes, The Sea of Monsters, and it was the second book in the series, and I gave it 4 stars also. I really enjoyed it. But that's it. Those are the 9 books I read in September, and I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.